Hello and welcome to the Nature Steve channel. I'm your host, Nature Steve, and in this video I'm going to be discussing the domestication of wolves to dogs and what that all entails. To really start it off, what is domestication? Domestication can be really defined as two definitions here, and they're going to be the process of taming an animal and keeping it as a pet or on a farm. And then there's also the process of making someone fond of and good at home life and what those tasks involve. The first definition here really talks about stripping the base instincts out of these animals that are really just how they function out in the wild, which is just purely for survival purposes, literally nothing else going on. With the second statement being, not only did we take these out, we replaced them with purposes that are going to be serviceable for humans and being around humans. It is a very incredibly difficult thing to do. However, when done properly, is incredibly effective, as you can see of the dogs we have now. There has been a lot of skepticism, a lot of theories, a lot of experiments about how these animals were really truly domesticated. What does it fully take? There have not been many animals that have been domesticated within the last recorded amount of history. So just basically want to go back 2,000 years about. We already had dogs, we already had cats, cattle, chickens, goats, sheep. Those were all domesticated. Those are the base animals that have been domesticated. Nothing really additionally since. I mean, we have had some reptiles, but really has any reptile been domesticated to the function to serve a human in this definition? That I feel that is a big no. However, moving forward, there was a Russian out in definitely eastern Siberia area by the last name of Belyaev. What he did from 1959 and onwards to his death, and is still continued, you can find them, or he worked with silver foxes. What he did is he was able to get a group of foxes. He interacted with them every day, performed different experiments to see how sociable these animals were, and then only had the ones that showed the highest potential for socialization and domestication. He had those ones breed, and he pretty much used selective breeding and worked as much of the feral nature out of these animals as he could. The last reported things that he was able to really work out were they started acting like dogs, and which I find to be incredible. What do we mean by that? What is this acting? Well, this acting includes when the human comes by, they start whimpering, they start yelping, getting excited. When they go to socialize with us, they're acting as a dog, sniffing our hands immediately, kind of running around us, bringing us a toy to play with, those kinds of things, begging for food. Those are characteristics that are exclusive to domesticated canines, really, at this point. Wolves don't show this, base foxes don't really show this, and they can show affection and like, oh, hey, they realize that you have food, so they're going to be nice to you. However, it's not on the consistent level of immediate social impact, whereas a wolf would be like, hey, how's it going? You're near my enclosure. I'm going to stalk you, watch you really closely, because I'm still a wild animal thinking that my survival instincts need to keep going here. It's completely different with these domesticated wolves. So that's their social side, kind of like where they are mentally. Now their physical traits actually did change, and it is something that you can observe in dogs now. A few of the characteristics were shorter snouts, and thinner to a point, and then also their ears started to droop and become what we would more or less call cute. And with that being said, really these physical forms that these animals are evolving into through the domestication is that they understand what is going to be actually more attractive to humans. As these animals get softer, they become physically softer in a way. I'm not saying that your Rottweiler isn't hardcore or whatnot, but seriously, the animal is completely soft compared to a wolf. He doesn't have the same mental functions going on as has been observed. Another thing that has been kind of noted with the domestication of these animals is that they have given the same tests to wolves as they have dogs. And these are service dogs, hunting dogs that they used. And then they used wolves in the other example. And um, the test that they used, experiment really, was having to pull on rope to figure out how to get food. And the wolves figured it out in 2 tries, whereas the dogs took upwards to 5 to 10 tries. The dogs were not only capable of pulling the rope immediately and figuring out there is a reward, but they were determined to do it. Whereas the dogs took them some time, just kind of figuring it out, definitely trial and error, and they just kind of what they were able to determine that they had no real full motive to pull on the rope, which is interesting to look at. And what we're seeing here in this experiment is that the wolves will do whatever it takes to get food. That survival is clicked on, as I've said already. With these dogs, it is not, because they have humans around. They understand that they're going to be fed at some point, and they just don't have the drive, whereas the wolves do. Another major trait in the domestication, which I find incredibly fascinating, is the social interactions of dogs to other dogs versus wolves in a pack, and those wolves. Now, to really understand what the differences are, I'm going to go first over what a pack is and what that entails. A full pack, full true wolf pack, has just two breeding pair of the alpha male and the alpha female, and then everyone else is under that, and they help take care of the pups and go out and hunt. The way they structure, the way they go around, the way they do everything is for the pack's survival. Everyone goes and hunts. Only the weak and elderly stay back and guard the pups. Everyone has a job. Everyone does something. And there's a pecking order, and they understand that the alpha and the female are there to eat first. They do their part, and then they let everyone take over from there. And any disputes that happen, they're immediately settled by the alpha and the female. Everyone listens to them. No one tries to fight them. And if you do, you duke it out and you're kicked out, or you kick them out. One or the other. There's no kind of just like, oh, okay, we fought, we had a tiff. It's no, we're together or you're not. Because we're going to die out here. They live in very extreme wildernesses. They have to travel and hunt for their food. They cannot take the time to just be like, oh, you're having an off day. Like, no, you're either seriously injured and you can't hunt right now, so you're a detriment, so stay back, or suck it up and come with us, Buttercup. They're very intense animals. It's just the way they are. It's the only way to survive out there. I mean, they got to take down bison, elk, deer. Those animals are no jokes when it comes to hunting them. So it's incredible. So that's how mainly a pack functions. Moving on to how a dog pack functions, it's a little bit more relaxed. They are more cooperative instead of just working in a team. Where I mean by that is, so two wolves go out to hunt. They know exactly which way to do things. They're cooperating and working as a team to get the job done. Whereas a dog, when he's actually going out and hunting, he's literally just following orders. There's no full thing going on. He just knows, I'm told to use my nose to hunt, and then find it, stay there, and then go and retrieve. Each of those things is in order. Whereas a wolf would automatically be doing these things in unison with his pack buddies. Another thing is the social hierarchies of dogs aren't linear, and they're not very clear cut. There's a lot of gray within that. So it's more or less kind of a case-by-case situation instead of, hey, I'm the alpha and this is how everything goes. Dog packs don't work that way. When they're fully domesticated, it's more of just, does this make a difference in my life? Does this not? Is this a fight over a ball, or is this a fight over who's getting more food? Someone's in my food dish. If it's a food dish thing, those two dogs are going to duke it out, and whatever alpha is in the area, isn't going to get involved. If this were happening in a wolf pack, someone tried to beat someone else over for it, they would have a fight, and the alpha would get involved and settle it right then and there. Whereas these kind of issues can perpetuate and keep happening between dogs. So that's definitely some big differences in how the packs function, and how dogs amongst each other socialize. Now, the physical appearance of their body language and how they vocalize to the pheromones they give off are all very, very, very similar. The changes, evolutionary wise, have been rather unaffected, really, there. They're still very much canine in that manner. However, those will be covered in another video here going over dog communication. So really, we wrapped up here today. We learned about the domestication process, what that was all involved, what evolutionary changes happened, and then we also talked about what happened to the pack structure. So very interesting stuff. We're going to be having the communication video here shortly. Thank you.